Well, hi everybody, welcome to our class. My name is Eddie and we're starting a new course tonight. It's Wednesday, so we have Discovering Buddhism, and today we're doing this introduction to meditation. So we'll say some prayers in the beginning. Now I'll introduce the material to you. I'll pause and ask you guys if you have any questions or if you think of anything interesting you'd like to offer or ask about. We'll do a meditation and then we just continue. So just do that a couple of times we do that. So let's begin. So this requires you guys to be comfortable in your seat. So generally that requires that you sort of sit with your back straight and your shoulders relaxed. Your hands and feet are placed wherever you want them to be placed. You want to have your head sort of sitting sort of comfortably on your neck. And you can close your eyes if you like, or you can sort of keep them half open, whatever suits you. So when you are sitting comfortably, I want you to let your body breathe itself. It does this every night when you go to bed and fall asleep, the body breathes itself. When you're walking around the city or the town, your body breathes itself. Just let it do that now. And while your body is breathing itself, just relax into awareness. So from this relaxed state of awareness, you'll be able to hear the traffic passing by. You should be able to feel movements taking place in your body as you exhale and inhale. This is the state of relaxed and open awareness. And while the body is breathing itself, I'd like you to imagine that the ground beneath you is made up of a starry sapphire light. This is very soft. And the space above you is filled with rainbows and offerings. And in the space directly in front of you, sitting on a large golden throne, is the Shakyamuni. He's sitting on cushions of a sun and moon, which is supported by a lotus. So the Buddha is golden in colour. He's wearing the robes of a monk. In his left hand he's holding a bowl. His right hand is touching the earth. And he's surrounded by many other enlightened beings. And these beings are all made of light. Now you recollect how fortunate you are to still be alive and to have the leisure and opportunity to attain whatever spiritual goal you set your mind to. You'll need to act quickly though, because things are not quite right. And this world does not exist as it seems to. Now, this is the case. You have met a spiritual friend who is leading you in the safe direction of the three rare sublime ones. These being the Buddha, his teachings called Dhamma, and the spiritual community who will accompany you called the Sangha. Now you're about to make an offering of practice. We want to make that offering as purely as possible. So I'd like you to imagine yourself to be as clear and as clean as a deity. So you sort of have a body that's a bit like a bubble. It's made of light that you can see through. And you're holding two instruments in your hand. One is a bell to represent the wisdom that knows reality, and the other is an instrument called a dorje, and this is to represent all the skillful methods you can become familiar with. So while you're holding these two instruments, you're also sitting within a sphere of great bliss. So enjoyment is pervading your body and mind. And it's from the sense of enjoyment that you are about to lead all sentient beings who surround you in the safe direction of these three rare survivals: the Buddha, the teacher, the teachings, Dharma, and the spiritual community. So please join me in putting your hands together in the prayer mudra and recite it along with me. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become the Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. So in responses, wish of yours to develop your wisdom and your compassion and every other skill you have perfectly. In response to that wish, imagine that from the heart of each enlightened being above you, lights and nectar stream down and dissolve into yourself and all the beings surrounding you. These lights and nectars, they purify negative karmas and behaviors and obstructions. They increase your health, your lifespan, your happiness, and your realizations. So cleansed by wisdom, fortified with love. Recollect the four immeasurable thoughts of love, compassion, joy, and equanimity. And decide to develop these yourself and to help everyone else establish these four immeasurable thoughts. To affirm this, join me in saying, may all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and its causes. May all sentient beings never be separated from the happiness that's without suffering. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from attachment for friends and hatred for enemies. Again, from the heart of each enlightened being above you, lights and nectar stream down, and then dissolve into yourself and all sentient beings surrounding you. And negative mental states and karmas and obstructions are all purified. And your health and long life, your virtues and your realizations are increased. And further purified and fortified, exhale and just relax. And from this relaxed state of awareness, invite to feel for a few rosy mirror and think that they appear. And before them, put your hands together and join me in saying, reverently I prostrate with my body, speech and mind. I present crowds of every type, offering actual images. I declare all negative actions and cumulative sins beyond this time, and rejoice in the measurable whole of ordinary beings. Please remain until the end of psychic existence and turn the wheel of Dharma through the beings. I dedicate my own and others' merits to the great and ultimate. So to prevent ourselves from grasping at what we've done to be truly existent, we think that our body, the universe itself, and everything that we've done sort of vanishes and then reappears as a pure land. And we're going to offer this to the Buddha and his entourage. And so we say, this grave, anointed with perfume, strewn with flowers, adorned with Mount Mary, four constants the sun and moon. I imagine this as all the field of life. May all living beings enjoy this pure land. So release the offering. The Buddha has accepted and he smiles at us with delight. Under his gaze, you recollect your wish to abandon suffering and its causes, your wish to develop full enlightenment for the benefit of others, and also your wish to develop the correct view and aspire to be a fully awakened being. So induced by your wishes and prayers, there emerges from the Guru Buddha above you, the second figure who absorbs into you. And your form clearly becomes that of the Guru Buddha. Now, heavy with good qualities, and you've abandoned anything that's harmful. And radiating from your heart, life rays strike all sentient beings surrounding you and place them all in a state of enlightenment. Encircling your heart and the heart of every other enlightened being is the mantra of the Buddha, which you can hear resonating in space. Kayata Maha Kayata Maha Maha I think there's no difference between yourself and anyone else. But from this perspective, all of us are enlightened. We've accomplished our fullest potential and are able to help others do the same. The two purposes have been achieved. Then acknowledge that this meditation has been one of imagination. But through the process of imagination, we've imprinted the mind with this potential to develop our wisdom, our compassion, all of our abilities to their full extent for the benefit of others. And just take a moment to rejoice in that effort you've made. You've used your mind skillfully. And then breathing in through your nostrils, exhale through your mouth, and in your own time, let your eyes flutter open. Move your hands, feet, whatever part of your body you'd like to, so you feel at ease. Okay, so as you know, we're engaging in a course of meditation, trying to explain it to you what it is, what types of meditation there are, and how to actually meditate. So our topics over the next 8 weeks will include motivations for meditating. We'll be talking about that today. Different types of meditation. We'll briefly go over 2 of the main types today. Different postures for meditating. We'll look at that next week. Different subjects of meditation. That will take us right through to the end. And the difficulties you'll meet while meditating and what you can do about them. Now, there's a lot of material on meditation, and we have all of these books in our library, and so I'll draw upon all of them for information on how to meditate. You can see up here the posture of meditation by a guy called Will Johnson. It's a very small book, but very comprehensive. A book down the bottom called Dissolving Pain. It's a really interesting way of meditating. Not particularly Buddhist, but you can see a lot of coverings from techniques to Buddhist philosophy. And in the middle are just all these other types of books on meditation techniques and so forth. Now today, we're going to have a look at only 3 topics. We're going to look at what meditation is. And ask ourselves, why do you want to meditate? What's the purpose? And finally, we'll look at a couple of breath meditations that we can do ourselves. So before looking at the second question, why meditate, in other words, we're asking ourselves, what's the primary purpose of meditation? I want to I'll tell you a little bit about what meditation is, first of all. So meditation, as you know, is an English word. What do you think it means? Okay. So the Tibetan word is gom. So this room you're in is called a gom pa. So the pa is like the place, and the gom is what we're going to do in this place, which is to familiarize the mind with something. So this is the place for familiarization. Meditation in Tibetan, the word they use is Sandy said, is familiarization or cultivation. So what are we going to become familiar with? Basically, it's sort of helpful states of mind. Also speech and also actions. So we're going to cultivate these helpful states and become familiar with them. That's the purpose of a meditation. So we're training the mind. Yeah, I think that's enough. So remember, it means familiarization and cultivation. What are we familiarizing the mind with? Positive qualities. Once we become familiar with them, we cultivate them. So one of the books that I showed you is called The Foundation of Buddhist Practice. And here's a quote from it on page 165. Dalai says, the primary purpose of meditation is to become familiar with positive states of mind and to decrease negative ones. It's a process of mental purification and transformation. The function of meditation is to sort of uproot the causes of distress and suffering. These causes are basically come out of what we call ignorance and another type of mind called attachment. These are closely related. So ignorance is a number of factors. One is just not knowing stuff. So you might all want to be happy, but if I ask you, well, how do you do that? You would say, I don't know. That's why I'm here. So that's a state of ignorance, right? That's something we really don't know much about. There's plenty of things we don't know much about. So that's one of the major sources of our suffering. The second is also called ignorance, but it's a different type of ignorance. It's when you think you know something, in fact, you're really sure you know something, but you're wrong, and you don't know. So from a Buddhist perspective, that's the worst type of ignorance. And so we want to tackle both. So in terms of what we don't know, there's a type of teaching called the teachings on karmic cause and effect. So when I say to myself, you want to be happy? I'm saying, yep. How are you going to do that? And this is where we talk about karmic cause and effect. Happiness is an effect. So what causes the effect? I want to know about the causes. If suffering is an effect, I need to know what causes suffering so I can suffer less. So you need to know about karmic cause and effect. In fact, it's probably the most important thing to know of all once you become a Buddhist. If you want to call yourself a Buddhist or take refuge in the three jewels, as soon as you do, your job is to work in harmony with cause and effect. So let's have a look at the different types of meditation. And there are many. But what I'll do here is we're just going to focus on a couple of them. So I'll come out all this stuff here. So there are two types of meditation called stabilizing meditation and analytical meditation. This is what we'll be primarily talking about from now till the next couple of months. Stabilizing and analytical meditation. So I'll go through the list and then we'll go up to the top again. I'll talk about some of them. The second is called objective and subjective meditations. An objective meditation is when you have an object that you want to become familiar with. You want to know something about it. A simple one might be impermanence. So this is object we want to know about. Like, what is impermanence? Is there more than one type of impermanence? What does impermanence relate to? You could ask all these types of questions, and that would come up to analytical meditation. You can have an analytical meditation on an object. This other one is called subjective meditation. And that's not something we meditate on, that's where we try to cultivate a state of mind which we become. So if you, for instance, decide that my biggest problem is anger, that's your big problem, but you might say that my biggest problems are resentment and rage, anger, that sort of thing. It bothers yourself and it bothers other people. So you go, okay, well, what can I do about that? So the antidotes to anger are basically what they call loving kindness and patience. So you want to make your mind, you would like to be a patient person, a loving, kind person. But so you don't meditate on it, you make yourself become that person through meditative techniques. So that's what we call subjective meditation. And when you're doing that, you find these, the reasons, and you just rest your mind on it. You basically rest your mind on the state you've cultivated. And so you become familiar with this state, with this new way of being. So you can turn yourself into a compassionate person, a kind person, a patient person, all sorts of different things. And you are that. That's subjective meditation. There's another type of meditation we call the review meditation. So these are really common within the Buddhist teachings. And basically what it's doing is you, for instance, when I look at it, go, there's a whole lot of different stages of spiritual development you go through. And some of the great teachers, what they've done is they've condensed it all down into maybe 10 or 12 verses. And you can recite them all, and you've got the whole spiritual path in there. Like in our tradition, we have a couple of prayers or a couple of review meditations written by a great teacher called Lama Tsongkhapa. So one is called the three principal aspects of the path. The other is called the foundation of all good qualities. They're each about 14 verses long, and most of us memorize them because then you've got the whole spiritual path like locked in. You can know wherever you are on that path, and whether it be your training or anybody else, you know where they are. A wishing prayer. So this is when you make an aspiration to become something. So like, for instance, you look at yourself as an ordinary human being, and you can ask yourself, well, is there something you want to do with your life? Are there different qualities you'd like to have, to develop? So you might see somebody like His Holiness the Dalai Lama or somebody else you really respect, and look at his qualities and say, I'd like to be like that. Now, I know I used to do that with rock stars when I was a kid. Any guy that could play a guitar, you go, wow, I want to be like that. So it's a bit like that. You see something you admire, you aspire to be just like that yourself, and so you make these wishing prayers. And so we made some when we were doing the four immeasurables as we began. But we sort of, may all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. That's a wish. There are many, many imaginative meditations you can do. So when I said when we began here, I said I want you to now imagine yourself to be as sort of clear and as clean as a deity. So I said to you, like, your body is not your normal body now. Imagine it's like a bubble of light, and you can see through it. That's imagination. In fact, that whole thing we just did about the Buddhas and all that, it's all imagination. There's lots of that. That's another way of meditating, to become familiar with different aspects of the path. There's another type of meditation called a puja. So pujas are some offering ceremonies where many of us will come here and you can see food donations, so we all bring food, flowers, something like that. We offer it all to the enlightened beings as a way of developing these qualities ourselves. And when we finish, we can either take the offerings home or we can put them in the baskets there and they go off to community groups. Sadhana. So sadhana is just a practice manual. Some of them are quite short, some of them are very long. And what it does, it just sets out your whole meditation practice. So remember, meditation practice means a practice that I want to become familiar with. So sometimes the information that you need to become familiar with is quite long, other times it's quite short. And when you become familiar with it, it's called a meditation. There's also dance. So we don't, ourselves, we don't do anything like this, but it has been done in the past, where great teachers have come in and taught everybody how to dance meditatively. And so every movement that the body makes has a symbolic value. When you raise your foot up and you point it this way and you bring it down, so that means something. Everything means something. And you try to become familiar with the meaning and the movements. I'll just pause there. And talk a little bit about these two up the top, stabilizing and analytical, and we'll talk about a little bit more as we go on. So stabilizing meditation is just the way that you put your mind on an object. You just keep it there. And the mind becomes stable. And analytical meditation is when you've got an object and you start to analyze it. You start asking questions about this object. Stabilizing meditation is basically got sort of like two parts too. One is like when we sat down in the beginning, I asked you just to let your body breathe itself. And you did your best to do that. And then I ask you to relax into the awareness of what's going on. Now, if you made an attempt to do that, and were able to do that, you've stabilized your mind. You have placed your mind just on the body breathing itself, and you know it's breathing. If you didn't do it, it means you're distracted. You weren't meditating at all. So you place it now, it's all nice and calm. Now you're all calm. Now, analysis. Now that the mind is stable and calm, you start to think. You come to a conclusion. You stop thinking. So that thinking was the analysis. Once you've got the right conclusion, you stop thinking, you rest your mind on that correct thought. Right? That's stabilizing meditation again. So you stabilized it in the sense of ease, comfort, presence, relaxation. Once that's established, analyze. You analyze, go along a line of reasoning, you come to a correct conclusion, you stop analyzing. You just rest your mind on it. Now, you've all done this yourself, right? It's often been about ordinary things, not what you might call spiritual things, not things that are trying to make you happier or decrease your happiness. Anybody who just sat down and thought about something and went, oh, and just got it. That's the process of meditation. Thought about something for a while, you decided something, and the decision was made. That's all we're sort of doing. Do you have any questions you'd like to ask?
Yes.
Yep, Tim.
Are those two types of meditation peculiar to Buddhism, or are there other?
No, they're not peculiar. Many traditions use stabilizing analysis. Every Buddhist tradition does as well. Now, so it's not a particularly Buddhist thing. Like I said, ordinary people rest their minds on topics, they think about it, they draw conclusions, and then they act on it. Again, from Dalai Lama, this is all Buddhist traditions share two forms of meditation. Serenity, this is another name for principally stabilizing meditation, and insight, which is principally analytical meditation. So they've got two new terms, but they mean the same thing. Serenity refers to stabilizing. Some of you might have heard a term called calm abiding, the mind calmly resting on its object, stable. Insight, this is on the analysis. We're trying to get insight about something we're analyzing. So, like for instance, if you decide to buy a house, you need to do some analysis, won't you? You're trying to gain insight into the fact that, can I actually afford to buy this house right now, and should I? And if I do, I know what's going to happen, and I'm say, okay, you can choose. And so we do this function all the time. It's nothing to do with Buddhist goals. So we do it, and so I'm just telling you, so don't think you can't meditate. All of us can. And many of us might think, I can't visualize, but we all can. So when we come up to this, these stabilizing and analysis meditations, again, because every Buddhist tradition does it, there's a lot of material on it. But what you might be quite surprised at and shocked at is how what can happen to you when you meditate, when you stabilize the mind, the different states you go through. So in these books, they talk about all the different states the mind can go through as you refine its qualities and find yourself to be able to focus for long periods of time on an object. Now, these stabilization meditations are what they call serenity. So if you've developed that, you can rest your mind for 3 hours on an object and the mind won't move from it. And you will feel great. And they've said that anybody who can do this, what happens is the body takes on what they call appliance, and then it becomes very limber. And so this is, there's a way you can tell whether people have developed this or not. So one of them is that if you see like these lamas who sit on some of the teachers, not much older than me, some of them about the same age as me, and some a little older. So they sit up there on this little throne like this with their legs crossed, and they can sit there for 4 or 5 hours, and we just stay there and talk to you. And meanwhile, we're sitting down and we're wiggling around, and it's sore, everything's achy, and nothing like it's happening to them. And when it's over, like we sort of go, oh, it hurts, right? These guys, they just stand up. Oh, stand up, walk down the front, and they're out the room. So we saw this again and again, didn't we? Just recently. So you've got people between their 70s and 80s that are really flexible. And when they've led us on this, sometimes we've done these practices, and they need us through town to go down to a river to distribute some of the coloured sands and so forth. And I remember guests was like nearly running, chasing after one. He was an old man just going down the road. And I go, geez, everything I've read about karma body, that shows it to you. Really pliable mind and a pliable body. They're very useful. And this just comes out of this, not only that in the stabilization readings, but the things that you can do with your mind that you can't do now are just absolutely phenomenal. In fact, I remember an American sort of what's called a seer. So he could see into the past and the future, just through developing this stabilization. Wasn't a Buddhist. Saw all these rebirth states just like the Buddha did. So you don't need to be enlightened to see the past and the future. But he was able to do all this. And what he used to do, he wanted to heal people. He used to lie on his couch and the secretary would take the phone. And the secretary would tell him what the condition of the patient. He'd be in this trance-like state lying on the bed. And he would tell, his responses were, he'd tell them the karmic causes for their sicknesses. Meaning he'd say, things happened like 200 years ago, blah, 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 you did this. To get well again, you will need to do these different types of practices. You need to change your diet, this medicine will work well for you, and so forth. There's thousands and thousands of those teachings. They're all stored in sort of like a big museum place, because this guy's quite famous, of course. He was also able to predict stock market fluctuations and things like that. But when he first did it, he got really sick and realized that he couldn't use this power to make money, to become wealthy. But what he did is he spent all this time, whatever came in was just helping people get well, basically. There's a lot of pretty amazing things you can do with your mind if you can develop a sense of stability. I think it's even more interesting once you have the stable basis and then you have this analysis. So again, you're not analysing the stock market, you're actually analysing, like, who am I? How do I exist? How does everything exist? And then becoming familiar with that, so you develop your wisdom and your intelligence and so forth. So, stabilizing meditation, what is it? Again, it's like I said, it's called placement meditation. And often it's called calm abiding. The calm abiding is the final state. It's like 9 stages of development. And it's all just called calm abiding, but the actual calm abiding is only in the very last stage. So, stabilizing meditation is the practice of training your mind to rest single-pointedly on an object without it becoming distracted. Its function is to build mental stability and clarity. And this calm and focused mind is cultivated gradually over time. So it serves as a really powerful foundation for developing your wisdom and what they call special insight. And so it's the essential first step in developing meditation paths. And what have I got here? So its goal is to achieve a stable mind that can stay on an object without interruption. Let's give it a go, right? Just for like 3 or 4 minutes, just a very light meditation. So all you need to do here is just sit in your seat and breathe down into your belly. That if you want to, you can put your hand on your belly so you can feel rise and fall as you breathe. So we'll do it for 5 minutes. It's 7:37. We'll just go for 5 minutes and just see what happens when you try and do that. mind has been placed onto the abdomen. You're trying to feel any type of movement or feeling that takes place when you inhale and exhale. And anything else that comes into your mind is a distraction. So we have 60 seconds left to go. If your awareness moves up into your upper chest, you become distracted. The object is the abdomen. Mind's be resting on the abdomen and you're looking for what's it feel like? What happens when I inhale and exhale? What's it feel like? Okay, so just let your eyes flutter open if they're closed. This is one of the most common objects of meditation that we place our mind upon. It's just to make the mind neutral and you're just trying to stabilize it. If you find your mind is racing off to what you want to do for dinner or what happened a few hours ago or something like that, all that's called distraction. And what we do with that, you just let it go and just come back and go, I'm distracted. I'm meant to be doing this thing. So you just bring your attention back to the belly. There's another very simple one you can do, but we'll do this again. So this is like, so we're going to see, we'll sit up, we'll close your eyes or whatever you like. And whenever you exhale, you're going to breathe in, and you're going to exhale. Yeah, 11. 10. 9. 8. This one means you'll just keep to that breathe in and the exhalation, 7. So at the exhalation, at the end of the exhalation, you count. That's where you put the number. Just keep going down to 1. Now, when you get to 1, just climb back up to 11. If you lose the number, just start again. Let's go back to 1. Breathe in, exhale, count 1. Okay, so just let the process go. Again, just open your eyes, blink a bit, move your body around if it's a little tight. So the idea behind these stabilizing meditations is to help reduce the stresses that come about through having a really busy mind, very active mind. So it improves your focus in daily tasks and also in your ability to regulate your own emotions. If you can create a sense of inner calm, it will help you respond to the different challenges you're going to meet throughout the day. So these simple meditations we did, stabilizing meditations we did, if you were to take up meditation, you want to start with something like that. You just try to calm everything down, get to a neutral state. Then you would set what we call the motivation. So you're about to meditate for a reason. So now the mind is calm, now bring to the forefront of your attention your motivation. Why are you meditating? What do you wish to accomplish? And that's when you would say that. Then you might again go into a state of do some imaginative meditation. That could lead you into a type of analysis. Which leads us to analytical meditation. So analytical meditation is it's a process whereby you use your reasoning to explore a topic from many angles to gain a reliable, deep understanding. So we'll do a really simple one now. So this is an analysis to discover who you are and what you're not. So that sounds a little bit strange. So we start off with, we start off by calming the mind. So just let the body just breathe itself. So what's going to happen is I'm going to ask you some questions. So I just want you to sort of think about that. Think about the question and what the answer might be. So this question is, am I the body? You have a body. Are you the body? Just suppose you don't know. You're going to say yes or no. One of those two choices. Or you can say, oh, I don't know. I might be the body. I might not be. I'm not sure. So just take the position that you are your body. What would follow from that? What would you understand about yourself if you were your body? Your identity is your body. You and the body are one and the same thing. Just think about that. What would be the consequences if you were your body? So, thinking that, okay, so we'll just have a little break. Okay, so we'll stop now. I'm going to ask you, so what are the consequences if you are the body? Who would like to go first?
Your mind would deteriorate with your body. So
Okay, so if you are the body, your mind will deteriorate with the body because
body isn't as good as it used to be.
say it again.
Well, I'm thinking of the mind and the body as two separate entities.
Yeah, okay, mind's the same.
If your body, as your body deteriorates in old age, so will the mind.
Because the mind is the body.
If the mind is the body.
Okay, well, so if you say that, then I'm asking, so then you are the mind.
Well, I'm thinking past. One can stay good. Or you can
Well,
age it.
I just want to take one thing at a time because I know it's not a question you probably ask yourself often, but it's one of the things the Buddhists would do. Because one of the major sources of our problem is we don't know who we are. We think we do, like I said, we all think we know. And we all, I'm sure the vast majority of the room will be wrong. So this is a major source of suffering. Thinking we were right about something, but being completely wrong about it. And yet acting as if we were right all the time. So again, if we're the body, what would be some of the consequences, Deborah? Tell me something. If you and the body were one and the same thing, so where are you then?
Where am I?
Yeah,
Sitting in a chair in front of us.
excellent. That's right, because you're the body, aren't you?
Well, my body is here.
Yeah. Well, that would be one of the consequences. I'm just asking the consequence, not to be a yes or no. Just that if you are the body and the body is in the chair, you're in the chair, aren't you?
Yes.
And you are in the chair, aren't you?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, yes. What is here? Mine does get distracted, so the other one is.
Okay. Ben, what do you think? If you are, again, we're not going to say, no, I'm not the body. We're going to take the position that we are. And I want to see what the consequences are. And after you see the consequences, you can say, oh, yes, I am the body. Oh, I'm not so sure anymore. I don't think I am now. You know, so it's going to go from one to something else. We have to see. Ben.
Before my parents' sperm and egg came together, there was absolutely nothing. Then there was me, and then when I died, there was absolutely nothing after that.
Yeah, and that's because your body turns into like nothing, is it? And so you will be nothing after your death.
That would be the consequence of me being something.
Yeah, so you just came into this life when you were born, weren't you? You know, like something physical. Anything else?
But if you said, Deborah, are you your body?
Yeah, and I'm asking you to take the position that you are.
I am, okay.
Yeah.
But I'm only Deborah. My body is only Deborah because that is merely named. So I could be Annabelle or Eddie.
Yeah, but would Adam, whatever, but are you still the body? Is that name the body? I was going to say, you're going to have to say yes, right? And then what are the consequences? Like you say, so Ben is saying, he only came into this life because his parents gave birth to him, and come his death, his body will die, and he will die. He will be finished, because his body is finished.
There'd be no rebirth.
That's right, there's no rebirth, you could not be reborn. That's over, yeah.
Something more that we would experience in this life, if that was the consequence, from my understanding, is that if, say, we lost a limb, there goes our 3 to, like say, for example, memories in 3 to 5, or something along those lines. If we are the body and everything is kept within this
body,
the body, that means that we have those kind of consequences. The other ones is like, they say that our body goes through like what do you call it?
Cell renewal.
That's it, cell renewal, and so, we shed dead skin all the time. So we would be shedding ourselves. And so there goes our ability to reason one day. And there goes, I don't know, me being able to see the color purple, and all sorts of ways.
So you also have, when you lose parts of your body, you'll be losing parts of yourself.
Yeah. And ability, it's not only like a personality type, but also like abilities, right?
Physical abilities.
Yeah.
So when you lose your physical abilities,
Like
you lose
seeing
parts
colors
of
and that kind of stuff.
yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. But doesn't that sort of happen? That does happen, doesn't it?
Not if you lose a limb or something.
I'm sorry?
Not if you lose a limb.
Well, you lose a part of yourself. I lose my arm, I've lost my arm, it's part of me.
I guess I was more concretizing it, tying it back to the body, so, you know, we would lose certain memories, not only like our feeling of ableness or our feeling of like, I can do some things, more like if everything is hard-coded into biology, that means that we would lose these kind of aspects like memories, and we would lose, you know, oh, I don't like ketchup anymore, and these kinds of things, no?
Yes, and pretty strange things would happen. It can be us thinking something,
Well, if we were the body, we would have no memories.
because of course the body doesn't have memory. Right?
The physical body doesn't have a memory.
What about muscle memory?
That's your muscles. So
But
a
that's part of
a
your
physical-
body.
That's a physical thing.
And nerves and memory.
But you would have no emotional memories. You would have no.
We don't know how they're stored, memories, we don't know how they're stored or encoded or decoded.
So, so this is one of the things when we talk about analysis, you can do something like this. But it's a much more, is a very interesting way we can analyze whether you're the body. You know, we said we are, right? So that means, so I say, okay, if you're the body, are you the whole body or a part of the body? Because you're physical, aren't you? The body's physical. It can only be the whole body or a part of it, or some parts. Wouldn't that be correct? That's the physical thing. Right? So if I am my body, or my whole body is me. But if that were the case, then and I lost my toes, I would have lost me. Right? Because like the whole body is me. But you know, if you lose your toes, I mean, you go to Spanish, see it. You say, oh, now I've lost my toes. Well, basically, I'm okay. You know, you might lose the lower leg to the knee. Oh gosh, but I'm okay. And so none of those parts are actually you. That was the whole thing. So that really doesn't make much sense, does it? But like I said, if you are physical, there's only two ways that you are. All the physical parts of your body, that's you. Or it's a single part. So I said, all you got to do is just chop off one part of it and you're still there, aren't you? So that one don't work. So then maybe you're a part of the body. But if you are a part of the body, which part?
Part that can exist by itself,
A part that can exist by itself.
and none of them can.
None of them can, so you won't be any of those parts. Right? Because none of those parts can exist like that. So if you were to take every part of your body, no matter how small it was, and ask yourself, is that me? You'd probably have to say, no, that's not me. And like I said, if you take your toe and you go, yeah, my toe is me, then the rest is not you, is it? Does that make sense to you? But that's just not true, is it? Does anybody think they're a fingernail or a toe or an eyeball or part of the brain or something? Because if you say no, you take the next part and ask you, well, that part then. And you'll say no again. Because what about the next part? And what you're going to end up with a whole lot of parts that are not you. You're going to say to every one of those, that's not me. So when you find out all those parts of the body, and not one of those single parts is you, the collection of all those parts that are not you is not going to be you either. And the collection of all those parts is the phenomenon we call the body. So you're not any single part of the body, and you're not the collection of the parts. So you're not the body. Does that make sense to you? Is anybody here often thought they were the body? Okay, nobody's thought down the body, that's good. But you're not. If you ever thought you were, you're wrong. So don't take the mind. Because a person, us, is a body and a mind, isn't it? And this body and mind are called me, I, self. So don't take the mind. Okay, are you the whole mind, all consciousness, every consciousness, or a part of it? And things, the idea is just to sit there like them, just going, I don't know. So I'm going to choose. So I'm a part of consciousness or I'm all of consciousness. There's no other choice there. If I am consciousness, I'm a part or I'm all of it. The same thing's going to happen to you. You're not going to be able to find any part of consciousness that you say, that's me. So no single part of your consciousness is you. The collection called consciousness is not going to be you either. And so how many of you thought you're the mind? A number of people think we're the mind, we're consciousness. And you see here, we're not that either. So we're not the body, we're not the mind.
This is the coolest thing. I love this. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. So this is the analysis, right? So when you get to the end like this, like you stop and go, you start shaking, right? Because now suddenly I don't know who I am. And I thought I was this and I thought I was that. Then you know, oh, that's okay because I'm not over them, I'm something else.
What's that, something else?
Yeah, okay, so yes, we take this, we take, so we go, okay, if you're not these two, if you're something else other than the body and the mind, then something can happen to your body. It shouldn't bother you, though, should it? Because you're not the body, right? But is that true? Like having a little like clock and bopped you on the head? Would something happen to you? You bet you, I'll probably have a sore head, right? So you can't be separate from the body then. So you can do the same thing with the mind. You take a mental quality. I think if you're separate from that, if you're separate from it, how can you think? You wouldn't be able to think, you wouldn't be able to feel, you wouldn't be able to see the world. You'd be like a stone. Is that how you exist? You have to go again, no. So you're not exactly the same as the body, you're not exactly the same as the mind, and you're not something different from them. It looks like that's all the possibilities there are, isn't there? But if they were, then none of us should be here. But here we are. Right, so what's going on? This is the type of analysis we do to discover who we are. Who are we actually? How do we exist? So through this analysis, we just found out how we don't exist. We're not exactly the same as the body. We're not exactly the same as the mind. And we're not something separate from both of them. And we're not body and mind together. So when this happens, I hope there's some sort of sense of confusion going on, because it should be. Yeah, that's an analytical meditation on the selflessness of the person. When you go through this, you don't find the self, but it's the body or the mind, or both of them, or independent of them. No such self. But there is just that. It doesn't mean say there is no self. It just means there's no self like that. We're sitting right here talking. I'm talking to you, so obviously you're right there. And if you spoke to me, I would know you were right there, and I would know you're not the body, you're not the mind, you're not something different from them, you're not both of them. So imagine if you sort of really had that, so you do this analysis and then you rest, you stop. we just rest in the absence of false selves, selves that don't actually exist. And then hopefully you won't treat yourself as if you are the body or mind or something separate from them, or somebody else, as if they are their body and their mind or something separate. Because they're obviously not. It's like us, obviously not that. You know, this is a type of, I'm sorry, this is an analysis onto discovering how we actually exist. Anything interesting? Okay.
I was thinking about how when you ask a question in like the body, that there's a question that comes before that. That's like, can the body be a thing that is separate from the mind in the first place, so that you could ask the question in the body?
Does it have to be separate to ask the question? Because it doesn't. If it were, we couldn't even ask the question.
Yeah, because I mean, the body and the mind aren't so interdependent. It's a bit difficult to pull one away and go act like that without the context of the mind relating to it.
I don't think so. we just do that naturally. Right? Yeah, Sandy.
It's a very unpleasant state of mind to experience when you can't answer that.
Yeah, that's right.
Just like,
I know, it's like a short circuit, isn't it?
yeah,
I
it's a
know.
short circuit, so it's like, because we want resolution.
That's
we want
right.
the answer before we even willing to ask the question.
Yeah, that's
Because
right.
without the answer, the question is just
Yeah.
unpleasant.
Yeah, see, I found it really pleasant.
Me too.
I found the opposite.
I was giggling.
It's like, oh my gosh, it's like, wow, it's like this incredible freedom in a way.
That's because you know the answer.
That's true.
Eddie has found his Eddie.
No, that's true.
He's found the
But
eye.
before I found the answer was really confusing, just like you guys do that, like you discovered.
And the answer is 44.
That's right, secret of the universe. Yes, so you can see, right, so we use these two types of meditation. We calm down first and we think. I'm going to ask a question. So I'm going to begin the analysis on myself. I'm going to find out, like, who am I, how do I exist? So I'm going to discover that I don't exist in any of those ways by asking that question. And whenever I find that I'm not that thing, I'm just going to rest my mind on that discovery. To deeply embed that knowledge within me. I will not identify with the body as being me. I will not identify with other persons being their bodies. Because they're not, are they? I mean, if you women here really love hunky-dory men, well, they're not their bodies. And for all the men who love particular shaped women, they're not their bodies. For anyone who loves really smart men or women, they're not their minds either. So, you know, in everyday life, don't we do just that? Look for the good qualities in the people and think that's them. So I guess from a Buddhist perspective, it's like you might say, even from a mental health perspective, so isn't that a bit nutty? Isn't it a bit weird to be behaving like that when the people aren't any of that, and yet we think they are, and we behave as if they are. And in fact, we'd be quite disappointed when we discover they're not. When in fact, they never were. So a lot of disturbing emotions arise from these misapprehensions. And analysis is to find out what's the misapprehension. What am I doing? Like, how is it I keep seeing people as their bodies, as their minds, as the combination of both of them, or something completely different? What is that? What is it? If we're all doing that, yet we're all wrong, what's going on? What's the consequences? Yeah, we call it this simple thing, more greed, right? More. Actually, you're never going to be satisfied getting the man or woman of your dreams because they're just dreams. You just made it all up. That's not actually the person. So that's a good discovery, right? Because you're not going to keep fooling yourself all through your life, do you? And then so at the end of it, you're like, why didn't it work for me? How come I wasn't happy? I had, you know, the lovely car, the house, I had all these things. Still not happy. I'm not content. And that's because all those phenomena don't exist in the way they appear to us. Like all of us appear to one another as if we are the body, the mind, or something independent of those two. That's how we appear to ourselves and others. And we all behave that way. And like I said, through this analysis, we're not that way. There's a discrepancy here between what they call appearances and reality. And our job is to find out what is the discrepancy, how's that produced? Is there something I can do about it? All of this is sort of analysis, asking these questions, trying to solve the answers. Okay, so let's do a meditation. Just let the body settle. If you like, you can raise your shoulders up to your ears and then just drop them. And then let your body breathe itself. Bring your awareness to that breathing. And just relax. So we try to bring an altruistic purpose to meditation. Because our meditations affect not just us, they affect other people too. So we want to learn how to skillfully transform our inner world with clarity. We want to see things clearly. And we can achieve this by using two distinct yet related meditative tools. First is stabilizing meditation that calms the mind. It creates a foundation for clear focus. In analytical meditation, it uses this focus to gain a transformative insight into your experiences. And using the tools of stabilization and analysis is like being a sculptor. You don't just look at clay, you actively shape it into a beautiful form. In the same way, we shape our own mind, our own inner experiences. So how might this help you when you're feeling stressed or reactive? How you can use your breath to stabilize the mind. Then you can analyze your feelings to understand them instead of being controlled by them. Now, both stabilization and analysis practices are necessary for real change to occur. Why do you think that might be? So stabilization without analysis, it brings about a temporary relief. But analysis without stability leads to distraction, busy mind. Now, how would you know which practice to use at any given moment? So if your mind is agitated, stabilize it. If the mind is calm, then use that clarity to investigate. So in your daily way of being in the world, you can just practice this rhythm. First calm, then inquiry, then calm. So you're not just a witness to the mind, but you are its gentle sculptor. And breathing in through your nostrils, exhale through your mouth. And very nice to come open. So I'll introduce you now to two or three really simple ways of meditating. And this is just to bring about a sense of stability, of calmness. So the first is called watching the breath. And there's basically, there's a lot of ways of doing this, but I'll introduce you three really simple ways. Firstly, you meditate on the whole body. On any place in the body. You could, like any place means abdomen, upper chest, wherever. It's just the whole thing. This is very easy because the object is so big, it's your own body. And you just sit there, like paying attention. What's my body feel like when I'm breathing? This makes it a bit smaller, and this really calms an agitated mind down. So that's when you put it on the belly, like it grounds you. It's a very good object. It's much smaller than the whole body. Now for clarity, so once you become stable, you want the stability to be clear. That's when you bring it to the nostrils. And so what you're sort of focusing on here is the gap between the nostrils here and the top lip. So if you get your finger like this now, and just put it there and go. And so you're breathing out through your nostril across that finger. Go. Anybody unable to feel that? Could everybody feel that when they do that? What's the feeling? Warm. It's warm, isn't it? You get like it's warm air goes across your finger.
When you breathe in.
That's right, and much warmer when you breathe out. Okay, so by having your finger there, what I want to know is that every time you breathe out, warm air is coming up. Now, if you take your finger away, breathe out again. Breathe in and breathe out. Can you feel the warm air there when you're breathing out? Oh, good. This is not often the case. People can actually feel it. Often it takes quite a bit of training. So if you can't feel it, you know there's actually warm air, right? You stuck your finger there before. It just means you're unaware of it. So the way to become aware of it is you need to concentrate. You just keep doing it until one day, oh my gosh, I can feel air coming out of my nostrils onto this part here. Now this object is very small. So you've got to try and move from the big objects, what we call gross, to the smaller objects. The reason for doing that is so that your focus becomes very sharp and clear. With the big objects, you'll find your mind can be on it, but it can be quite dull too. Right? So when it comes here, you've got to really sort of pay attention. No. Yeah, just feel it. So sometimes even I can feel it and then you don't feel it. And that's how meditation is many, many times. It's working today, tomorrow it's not. And you just got to persevere. And so when I say persevere, persevere in short things, right? Don't do long meditations. You get so discouraged many times when you don't get effects that you think you should be getting. And you won't get away if you just keep pushing forward. Do it shorter and go for quality. Right? Just try and go for the quality. So when we look for anywhere in the body, like I said, so we've just got this drawn here. So you'll find if you sit up like that and you breathe, you go, like I can feel, you feel the upper chest, right? And you feel it all sinking. Bit of tighten there. Bit of tighten. Chest goes out. Feel a little bit of pain for me. Slowly. You try and pay attention to everything that you're feeling and what's happening to you. We usually start like this just to get rid of the tension in the body and learn to relax. If the body is relaxed, it's very easy for the mind to relax. So we work with the body first. The abdomen, so I hope you all know where your abdomen is. Now, when I started to meditate, I could not feel any movement in my abdomen. In fact, I had no air in there at all. It took me over a year to learn to breathe properly so I could actually get air into my abdomen. After that, to lie on the floor, and I have to put my hands on it to actually feel God from that. There's the help there. It took a while, right? You might find the same thing, I don't know. But don't get discouraged. Like, you are breathing, it will go down there, you just stop used to it. You gradually get to feel it. Again, just try to sort of cultivate your awareness itself. The nostrils, like I pointed out, is a very small object. So by trying to focus on this very small object, you overcome what I call dullness. So dullness is very common when you start to learn to meditate, and so is sleepiness. Like you'll find, if you close your eyes, you fall asleep, right? So what you need is more sleep. So sleep, have a rest, then meditate. Now, like I said about these big objects, like what you might find, I find this a lot with me, like you're sitting like this and you go, that means the mind is dull. You're sinking inwards. And the dullness can then lead to greater lethargy, where you sort of slump, you'll go forward like this, then your tummy gets cramped in here, then no air will get in there, and then the mind becomes dull and foggy. So this particularly, you become particularly aware of this if you're sitting in a room with other meditators and the person is leading you, and you're forgetting everything. And that's when your mind is really dull. So when that happens, you really need to sort of straighten yourself up, lift yourself up, pull yourself up, tight like this. You want to be able to open your eyes because that increases the clarity, the vividness pretty much straight away. You're going to be present, right? Your eyes are wide open. Another thing you can do is get a little bowl or glass of water. So I often just sit there and I just plop my fingers into it and then put it across my eyes and across my lips, just to keep up. There's a type of chili that you can get. And if you do this one, what you do is you rub your fingers with the chili, right? And whenever you feel yourself down like this, you'll wake up real quick.
It's like smelling salts.
Yeah, that's right.
As long as you don't then touch your eyes.
That's right, but you probably will, but then you will not. So my teacher, he's got 10 years old, he's quite old now. But whenever I really wanted to take him, we're sitting there leading us through, and you'll notice he's got hair under one arm, and one arm has got no hair. You go, that's weird. This is because when he used to go like that, he'd pull a hair out from underneath his arm to make himself up. Yeah, it's like, it's really serious. If you're serious about meditation, you're going to find a way to work it. You're not going to go dull. If you become dull, stop immediately. Just don't do it. Get up, wash your face, just walk around, do something else, then go back. Yeah, so you do not want to have dullness. We're pretty dull as we are, aren't we? You don't need more. Yeah. So we're just about finishing up shortly. Do you guys have any questions or what you'd like to ask about anything I've said or something else that might have to do with meditation?
Do you have an answer on whether we are what we are?
I had a question just about what we are. I think that many people would be tempted to say, we're not a body, we're not the mind, we must be the soul.
Yeah, that's right. So you've been saying again, so is the soul the body? You go, well, no. Is the soul the mind? No.
It animates it, as people say.
So if it's not the same, and okay, so you go, okay, they must be different. So if it's different, what effect can the soul have on the body and mind?
Not much.
Not much at all. It's like saying this clock here, which is separate from the bathroom door, has a huge effect on the bathroom door. But it doesn't. It's a relationship to the bathroom door. So the soul is not, again, just runs this thing through. There are people would be tempted to say that. We just do the same analysis, this is the same process. So, in regards to this question, like, who am I? And how do I exist? I guess that's the first question, like, what is the person? What's the definition of a person? We're all people, aren't we? We're all persons. What's the definition?
Functioning body and mind.
I'm sorry?
A functioning body and mind.
A functioning body and mind is a person.
Someone with human DNA.
So I'll tell you something terrible now. So cows are persons. Cows and bats, animals and insects are all persons from a Buddhist perspective. So from some other thing, yeah, you might say, yep. This is really, so I'll tell you, the definition of a person in the Buddhism is the I imputed to the 4 or 5 aggregates. We break this down again to make it easy for someone who won't be familiar with this language. The I is the name given to the body and the mind. That's what a person is. Self. The self is a name given to these 2 other phenomena called the body and the mind. So the person is the name given to or put upon, imputed to the body and the mind. That's the definition of a person.
The soul doesn't come into it.
I'm sorry?
The soul
No,
doesn't come into it.
don't need a soul. Body and the mind and the name person, that's enough. So that's the definition of a person in Buddhism. It's the I imputed to the 4 or 5 aggregates. The 4 or 5 aggregates is just the body and mind. It's just name given to it. I know it doesn't seem enough, does it? We feel we seem to be more than that, don't we? Don't you all seem to be more than just a name?
Check your pockets.
You can meditate on that.
Yeah. So all of us assume that we are more than that. Like I said, we assume we are the body, we are the mind. We're both of them. We're none of them. So that's what we don't find ourselves like, as the body, as the mind. And like I say, if you were the body, you should be able to identify any part of your body or all the parts of it and say, there you go, that's me.
Would it be correct to say it appears that I'm more than just a name?
Of course it does.
Yeah.
Of course it does. Yeah, that's quite correct. You could say that. And because we do appear to be more than just that name put upon the body and mind. Now remember, it's not the name without a body and mind. That's not who you are. You don't exist like that. It's the name and the body and the mind. That's the person. Three phenomena.
There's a lot of weight to the name though, doesn't it?
You betcha, because think,
You have
you
no
betcha,
idea.
it's only, that's right, I'm sort of wanting to think about this, right? About everything. Because you can do this analysis of a person, you can do it to a desk, you can do it to any phenomenon. And the phenomenon will not be what you thought it was. And like, why? Because so that phenomenon, you don't have the name. It's only that with the name. So you need like both. Yeah. But of course, like I said, if you look at, I don't know, if you look at the wall, I said, where's the wall? I mean, the wall behind me, so that's the altar, right? So I said, so where's the altar? You should all go right behind you, right? Ah, is it? Which part of it? Is it all the parts or the whole lot? And the next thing you go, oh my gosh, no, it's not the parts, it's not the whole, no, it's not, that's right. It is all those parts with the name. Without that name, there's no altar there.
So we could call that a car,
Yeah, you could call it a car.
and so that then becomes a car.
No, because the question would be, does it function as a car?
No.
No, so it can't be a car. You can't just give it any name, it has to fulfill the function. But this is what you should do, like never run, you play around with it. You analyze.
So if there's nobody to say,
I'm sorry?
if there's nobody to say,
Yeah.
where is the altar?
Yeah.
Is the altar there?
Well, if I'm here, obviously saying there's nobody whatsoever, no contact to it. You can't know, there's no way you can say the altar's there. Yeah. So that's another thing the altar depends upon. It depends upon awareness, consciousness. So someone said, I imputed to or given to consciousness and the body, mind and the body. So just mind, a name and body, what do we call that?
Dead body.
Corpse. That's right, or a dead person. We don't just call them like, mind and body. They're not there, right? And if it was just the mind, which you could do if you could apprehend it, but there's lots of people's bodies that are not here, aren't they? Like Bob Dylan's body's not here, nor his Elvis's, nor the Prime Minister's, a whole lot of people, right? So we just can't use their names, oh, they're here. That doesn't work either.
Isn't the name just the identity then?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. So the name identifies, even the name body. Yeah. So it leads you down quite a really interesting pathway in this analysis. In fact, this analysis shows you where we all go wrong. And we do it consistently and consistently. And even having this intellectual knowledge of it, which I'm sharing with you, won't make a great deal of difference. The reason for this is because the appearances are so strong and you have the habit of identifying with your body as you, or your mind as you, or something separate as you. That's a massive habit. You've had it since you were born. From a Buddhist perspective, you came into this life with it. That was part of the reason you're here. It's even knowing this, like I said, it won't make a great deal of impact to you. We're over time already, so I'm just going to say thank you for being here and go to the slides for a bit. That's our meditation has done that. So our takeaway is basically, meditation is basically mental training. That's what you're doing, you're training your mind. And you can use analysis and stabilization to work together. And that way you increase the positive and decrease the negative. The negatives are nearly all based around wrong or faulty reasoning. Like the faulty reasoning to go on with my body. I am my mind, or something different. That's all wrong. We call that wrong consciousnesses. You believe in a wrong consciousness, you set yourself up with big problems. And that's what we do. And so we meet big problems. And if we don't know what to do, we're good at solving them. This is, we try and get better at it. So there are some notes about this on our website. The FPMT notes, pages 5 to 9, and L to C, or spelling mistake, 4 to 10. Next week, we'll talk about meditation postures, like how you can sit, stand, walk, lie down, there's many different postures you can use to go. We'll talk about that then. So now we come to the second most important thing of a meditation session. And the most important is to set your motivation. Then you do the meditation, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, makes no difference. We do the best, then we dedicate. So all of you have been listening to this presentation. That requires energy. So take that energy that you put into it and aim it at that goal that you walked in here with. I said, why are you here? You have a reason for meditating. So take all the energy you've expended, drive it towards that goal. So join me in saying, due to the merits of these virtuous actions, now I quickly attain the state of the Buddha, and lead all living beings without exception into that enlightened state. May the supreme jewel, bodhicitta, not yet born, arise in you. May that born have no decline but increase evermore. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, may I too remain to dispel the sorrows of the world. The wish granting, wish fulfilling jewel, source of every single benefit and happiness in this world, to the incomparable calm that is the outside opposite. May all your wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. And finally, in building and holding and spreading the move's precious and complete teachings with explanation and practice, rewarding our patience is never discouraged. Incomparable and overruled to you and others. Okay, so thank you all of you. Very good to be here.